Hello, 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 beautiful people. I had to just do a little dance in celebration because I am feeling it today. And that's my truth, and I'm going to live in it. I was feeling it. I was really excited to see all of the new assets up and functioning. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm really excited to be here today. In case you can't tell, I'm Leah Murphy, and I am the CEO and founder of Career Gems for the Journey, where we help talented professionals build thriving careers. And if you have been riding with me for a little while, I love to see the OGs here. It's always amazing. And if this is your first time, welcome. Welcome to the place where if you are looking for tools, asset, resources to try to impart only the finest of things for your career, to try to learn from the experiences of previous folks who I've been able to work with and also learn from my lived experience, you are in the right place. I have something specifically for you. So I'm excited to be back with you. We have been deep into this series, and I'm going to get into that, but I want to make sure that I don't glaze over any of the things. Y'all know that once I get on, I start to run fast and get really excited. But before I do that, I want to first ask anyone who is joining me live to drop their city in the chat. If once you drop your city in the chat, then I can acknowledge you and shout you out. I do want to give a little disclaimer. It is a little bit of a lag sometimes for comments, so I'm going to do the best I can to make sure I get to see everyone, acknowledge everyone. I definitely appreciate everybody who is here with me live, and I also appreciate everybody who listens on the replay. I love that for you. I also love it for me. So covering all the bases, we're streaming live on LinkedIn as well as to my YouTube channel. So I want to make sure that I touch all the folks who are here with me. So if you're here, drop your city in the chat and I will shout you out. So that's number one. Gotta get my people acknowledged. And then number two, as you see all of these beautiful assets here, shout out to my assistant for just being phenomenal and always being able to execute the vision and do it really well. She has incorporated the latest version of Triumph in the Trenches. And that's the anthology that I've been talking to you guys about for such a long time. It's available now for pre-order. You can use the QR code right here to get your copy right now. It will pre-order. You will get a signed copy directly from me. And you'll also be able to have a free 30-minute coaching session with me as a result of you making the purchase. So come on. It really can't get any better. I've gotten to read more and more of the other chapters that are in the anthology in addition to my own. And I'm telling you, you do not want to miss the opportunity to have this tangible resource available to you in your home for you to go back and reference or for you to purchase for a Black professional who's currently navigating the workplace, right? So it's a great opportunity for you to use it for yourself or for you to gift it to someone else. You can use the QR code here, and then you can grab your copy for just $29 plus tax. You will get the book itself delivered directly to your door and a free 30-minute coaching session with me. Okay. I'm so excited about the project. I'm trying to contain myself. I've been having so many amazing conversations with my co-anthologists, and I'm going to bring some of them here on LinkedIn Live. There's also some podcast episodes on the Career Gems for the Journey podcast where we've been able to go deep into our own specific chapters. And then, so it gives you kind of a teaser of what you're going to get when you purchase the book, because I know if you're here, you're going to purchase. But it also just talks about our own professional stories and how each of us have come from different parts of the country, of the world, but also how our experience in corporate America, academia, nonprofit leadership, federal government, all of those different career experiences, and how we can bring that all to bear and make sure that we're giving really excellent advice to the next group of leaders who are coming in to these spaces. And we can make sure that it's honest, it's authentic, it's from our stories, it's from Black professionals like them, right? So it's people like them leading them or guiding them into the next phase of their career. It's phenomenal. I'm just telling you guys, it's phenomenal. So go ahead and grab your copy right now. I'm actually going to also do the link. I'm going to drop that here now. So if you're joining us live, you'll have the opportunity to see the link. You can grab it there, or you can use the QR code. So now, we've been talking about this series, Pause the Work and Go Make Some Friends. And all of this always ties together, because what I am seeing is this series has gotten a lot of people talking about, what am I doing? How am I spending my time at work? A lot of us have gotten into the place where we work in organizations and we've been there for a while, and we're having a very kind of experience. Sometimes it's, feeling good and we're getting the opportunities that we're looking for. We're doing work that we feel like is meaningful. Sometimes it's just not. Sometimes the current fit between you and your organization isn't giving you all that you need, and that's okay, right? It's okay that it's not completely aligning at this moment. But the option for you is to always think about, how can I leverage where I am now in this organization until the next opportunity presents itself, or until I create the next opportunity for myself. So what I want to be really, really clear on is, I talk a lot about building your career, about success, about advancing in organizations, but I also talk a lot about making sure that you're taking the best care of yourself, that you're investing in your own well-being and your own mental health. So as I think about those kinds of really important comments, and making the two marry to one another, this is an opportunity for us to say, if it's not the season for you to be pushing forward strategically in your career, and it's your season for reinvesting in yourself, for doing a lot of work to take care of your well-being, for making sure that you're in a good place, or that the workplace that you're in, doing the evaluation to make sure that it's a fit for you still, that is absolutely amazing. And that's okay. And I will, speak for myself and say that as I talk to more senior folks who are, boomers who are transitioning out of the workforce, lots of them never felt like they could ever slow down in their career. They never felt like they could take a pause. They never felt like they could take a break. Despite all that might have been going on in their life or in the world, they never felt like they had that opportunity, because there were pressures or expectations or society or bills or responsibilities or all kinds of things. So even the fact that we, in the year of 2024, have the privilege of being able to think about ourselves as, do I want to double down and invest in my career right now and really turn up the heat? Or do I want to think a little bit more about maybe taking a step back from the pursuit and the action that goes along with all things career, and take some time just to reevaluate, to strategize, to plan for my future, and to do what's best for me, right? Because I'm here for both. I don't feel like it has to be an either or. I'm definitely here for both. So this whole series around go and make some work friends, pause the work and go and make some professional friends, it really is an opportunity to say, there will always be more work. There will always be something else to do. There will always be another reason to stay a few more hours. There will always be more work. The organization, corporations, capitalism is designed to continue to see you work and work hard and continue to step up to the next level. There's no one who's ever going to tell you, as your manager who works in the organization, stop working so hard, stop delivering so much results, stop giving us your intellectual property. Stop making our ideas that are mediocre better. No one's going to ever tell you that within your organization, but I'm here to tell you, as an executive coach who works with some of the most talented people that I believe are giving their talents and gifts to organizations, you still have to be thoughtful and strategic about your energy and what you're investing, and about what you're giving to the organization, to make sure that you feel like it is a mutually beneficial arrangement. And I talk about that in my chapter in Triumph in the Trenches. Making sure that you're in a mutually beneficial relationship between you and your organization means that you are getting what you need from the organization, which is in the form of salary, compensation, total compensation packages, a healthy work environment. But also, it makes sure that the organization is getting what they are expecting from you, but within the boundaries of your own needs getting met, right? I am personally someone who has a really hard time creating boundaries between my work life and my personal life. Early in my career, I worked lots of hours. I did all of the things. I volunteered for all of the things, and eventually, it took me to a place where I was completely out of balance and completely out of whack. So when I say pause the work and go make some professional friends, it's because there will always be more work. You will get back to the work. If you're here, I know that you're setting a standard for yourself that you want to grow and you want to continue to be developed. You want to continue to grow your career. You want to make sure your compensation matches that. If you're here, I know that that's what you're doing, right? So then this series really helps you to think about how do you not have it be just yourself and your own individual contribution to your career being successful, but you create a coalition effect of people who are helping you to advance your career because you have more information from your professional friends. So over the course of the series, we talked about executive admins who I hands down the lifeblood of any organization, all of the very rich, thoughtful, what's happening in the organization. They are creating it, not reporting the news, but they are literally creating it. They are facilitating it happening. We also talked about legal, finance, investor relations, and communications. So those are the 5 groups we touched on thus far. Now today, we're going to take it a little bit further. But I got a question in the background and somebody said, how do I do this? How do I go about meeting these people? How do I go about connecting with these people? If they're not in my silo and I don't have to work with them on a day-to-day basis, how am I supposed to go about connecting with them and to put your advice into practice? And I was like, that's an excellent question. So the easiest way to start this process is through natural adjacencies, cross-functional peers that you tend to work with. Maybe somebody in finance comes and reports out to your group on a regular basis or sends out some kind of communication. It's awesome just to respond. There's a lot of people who are giving out, whether it's posting on intranet sites inside of your organization, or folks who are giving town hall speeches or prepping for internal narratives, right, that are happening inside of the company. So when you're thinking about people who work in your company, there's definitely folks that you may cross paths with inadvertently and just haven't really capitalized on that relationship. So if there's someone in finance who you've crossed paths with for a number of reasons, ask them to have coffee, ask them to have lunch. And if not, and you're like, listen, I just kind of sit in my corner and I do my own thing, then it's an opportunity to think about internally networking, whether that's like sitting with new people at the lunch table, introducing yourself, whether that's looking people up on the internal site and, typing in finance and see if there's somebody that you could find that you're interested in meeting with, whether that is specifically like walking up to people in the building. Hey, I notice you're always in the copy room at this time, or I notice you're always, grabbing coffee at this time. These are opportunities, right? And just natural passing for you to actually connect with people. We've gotten really conditioned to keep our head down and just focus and do the next thing. And we're so busy and we have so many things that are overwhelming that sometimes we just miss the opportunity to see other humans and have a chance to engage with other humans real time. Right. And that's for folks who are in person, right? If you're in person, those are still opportunities for you to have those organic check-ins. I know a lot of folks are working virtually. And if you're working virtually or some kind of hybrid model, it does require a little bit more effort because then you have to figure out a way to connect with them on some kind of back channel, whether it's on Teams or Slack or whatever platform your organization uses to actually, reach out to someone. And it requires you to put yourself out there. And to be completely honest, hey, I've been here for about a year. I realized I don't know anybody else in my department. Wanted to see if I could connect with a couple of people over coffee or lunch, or, maybe we would stop by and be at watching the same town hall. And I would notice somebody else was online and I would send them a note. Hey, I've been meaning to connect with other people in the organization, right? It does require for you to push out of your comfort zone. So I get that. For those who are in person, it could happen a little bit more organically. I'm not necessarily a proponent of in-person work versus remote work versus hybrid. I think it really depends on you and your organization. But it does require you to pull your head up from working within your silo in your organization and choose to actively look to connect with people who work in these other departments. Okay, so now this one is going to feel controversial. And I love to get a little bit spicy with the advice. I love to remind folks that everything is not for everybody, and every organization doesn't behave the same way. So your organization may have a great HR department, or it may have an HR department that is so-so. Either way, connecting with somebody in HR and making sure that you understand how your organization works from the HR perspective is huge. So the next group that I really recommend you stop the work, pause the work, and go make a professional friend is in HR. Now, lots of us have had experiences, especially as Black and Brown professionals, feeling like HR doesn't support us. They don't typically represent us and our interests. And that's real. If you have real lived experiences where you've had the interactions with HR and they haven't been positive, I'm not here to tell you that that is not real. And I'm also not here to tell you to ignore your intuition about the experience you're having with that part of the organization. What I will say is there's a chance to engage with different parts of the HR organization, maybe not your HR generalist, maybe someone who is in HR services. The HR services group are normally the people who are doing things like payroll, or they may be executing org charts, right? They're kind of doing the business and the IT side of HR, tend to be a smaller group, very valuable information wise, because normally they're working on projects that are on the horizon. Or you also could connect with people who are in talent acquisition, recruiting, right? Who are they bringing in? Who are they focusing on in the organization? Again, the goal of the pause the work and go make some professional friends is for you to expand your own information so that as you're thinking about making decisions for your career, you know exactly who's a part of that decision-making process. And HR is always a part of the decisions. So whether you love them or whether you are not a fan, they're still a part of the decisions. They're still a decision maker in the broader organization and in your specific ability to advance your career. So you want to at least know what's happening, even if they're not your best friend. And you can be thoughtful and strategic about what you share and what you don't share with them. It's an opportunity for you to learn more about them as an individual and the functional priorities of the organization. So that's the next group that I really encourage you guys to think about connecting with. Get you a friend in HR. A friend in HR will provide you a heads up when there are things that are happening and you want to make sure you're staying away. A friend in HR will also help you to understand what it looks like as far as who is going to, will there be new opportunities in the organization? Will there be promotions? Are they creating new roles, or are roles collapsing and shrinking? They'll also be able to tell you, here's the standard for what getting promoted looks like. So if you want to move from a manager to a senior manager, someone in HR will be able to tell you, this is our kind of standard expectation for moving from where you are as a manager to a senior manager. Then you can decide, do I want to do that extra work? Do I want to invest in that extra effort? It's up to you. You can decide, yes, I'm down for it. Let me go after it. Or you can decide, that sounds like a lot of additional effort for not enough additional compensation. Because they can also tell you about your compensation ranges. So there are lots of information that it's just so much. Like, it's so much information, and having a friend who sits in the HR function, having a contact there is just so valuable. And the next one that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to close out for this time, is this one is near and dear to my heart. It's near and dear to my heart because it's a part of the organization that I used to participate in. I used to fit in when I worked in corporate. And I feel like it's the part of the organization that now everybody knows the name of, but probably doesn't understand what they do, right? And I'm talking about supply chain. There are lots of people who now know what supply chain is because of the pandemic, and lots of people heard about the stresses and the frictions that were happening in supply chain, and global limitations on shipping and all kinds of things, right? So supply chain now has a seat at the table. Now people are aware, but years and years ago, people had no idea what supply chain was or what they did. And because they had no idea what they were, who they were, or what they did, they tend to just fade into the background. If you work in an organization that produces a product, so consumer goods, technology, if it produces a product, something tangible, something that you can hold in your hand, not just a technology, but not a technology, then supply chain is involved. They make your product, they source your ingredients in order to make the product, or they source your components, they actually manufacture a product for you, like put it together in a factory. And I joke because There are a lot of people who have no idea how whatever you sell as a company gets made, how your widgets get put together. That is literally supply chain's job, to bring the materials in, get the materials to the right location, create the right settings, surroundings, environment, so that the product or whatever it is can be made, make the product, put the product in some kind of a packaging, and ship the product to the location that it needs to go, right? So that's a really, really fundamental, rudimentary way to talk about supply chain. And then once all those things have happened, boom, now the product is where it's supposed to be and people are getting what they need. So now, if you have no idea what's happening in supply chain, you probably also have no idea of how to manage costs in your organization, how to manage costs, how to set deliverables from a timeline and from a product launch standpoint. All of those things happen within the supply chain organization. So if you work in a company that produces an actual product, learning more about supply chain and the people within it, what they do, what they're responsible for, how what they do increases the cost of the product or decreases the cost of the product. And then those costs end up living and affecting your bonus. Those costs end up informing how the hiring or retention strategies are designed. Those costs end up driving acquisitions or mergers. Supply chain has a very, very critical role in organizations that make a product. And I feel like a lot of times people just are not aware. So I want you to take advantage of the opportunity to go make a friend in supply chain, learn more about what they do and learn more about what they know, because their work will definitely impact the organization, the company, the bottom line in a tremendous way. And that bottom line could be the difference maker as to whether or not today this is the right year to take a cross-functional role, or if it's the year to say, listen, supply chain is not performing well, so that means ... fill in the blank. Or supply chain is knocking it out of the park, so that means ... The better information you can get from a number of different sources within the organization you're in is a game changer. The other thing that I feel like I often coach my clients on is any opportunity you can get to learn some of this from companies that you are considering, right? You're thinking about joining a company, you're thinking about bringing your talents to that organization. If you can get a better sense of how these functions in the organization are running, how they're perceived, it'll tell you how the company is performing. So I talked a lot about in the last series, focusing on understanding your earnings, right? I gave you guys homework. I said to go and listen to an earnings call. And if the call isn't happening now, you can certainly listen to pre-recorded calls because there's still good information, right? If it's in the last 6 months, it's definitely affecting your organization. So your earnings call, and then go check on your stock price. So check on your stock price, get a good understanding of where the stock price for the company has been for the last 12 to 18 months. And that'll tell you what the perceived health is of your company from a Wall Street perspective. So now it's not just what do I want, right? Because a lot of times, I talk about, do you know your must-haves? Do you know the value that you bring to the organization? And that is step one. What are your must-haves? What are your absolute, needs in order to be successful in an organization from a financial standpoint, from a compensation standpoint, but also from a well-being standpoint, a culture and environment. I really encourage folks to think about that and prioritize that. But also this now starts to build out the story of the organization that you're in, of the priorities of that organization and how you can fit into it. It helps you to better own your narrative and to decide what you want to do within that organization, or when it's time that there's no organization and you are no longer in a mutually beneficial relationship and it's time for you to make a transition. So this series on pause the work and go make some professional friends. I wish that I would have had this in my career when I first joined into a corporate environment, because there were so many mistakes that I made by not having the right information or the right relationships with people to really get the insight that could have changed really powerful decisions in my career. And there are the key things around mentorship, and there are really important elements that happen with you personally. And I want to make sure that you guys feel like you understand those things that are going to happen with you personally are important, but the bigger picture of what's happening in the organization and where the organization's priorities are can only be found out when you go make some professional friends. So pause the work. Go make yourself some professional friends in these departments. And while you're at it, listen to a previous earnings call for your organization so you know where their priorities are. And then do the work to take it a step further. Make sure you understand if you work for a publicly traded company, that you know what their stock price is and you know how the stock is performing, because that stock price is a huge determinant of what leaders in your organization are going to be focusing on and what they're going to be prioritizing. So once you have this full picture, it feels more robust. I have 2 more departments that I'm going to touch into because they feel like they're a combination. And when I talk about these departments, I want you to be actively forming a list in the background of your mind. Who are the people that I want to reach out to? Because 2024 can be your year of building your professional network, of building your internal professional network, or seeking out these folks on other platforms, using social media, using tools like LinkedIn to be able to connect to other people who have this expertise, and that builds your professional network. And that's just an investment in now and an investment in the future. So I want to encourage you, if you're not actively looking to pursue something that you feel like is pushing you somewhere different in your career, that's fantastic. Take the time, invest in yourself, invest in building your personal network and your professional network, and that will pay dividends in the future. And you don't know when that time will come where that investment will pay, but I guarantee it will. So this has been amazing. I tried to just pull my phone up to scroll through and make sure that any comments for folks who were joining me live, I got to read. I didn't miss anybody. I hope if I did, charge it to my head, not to my heart. I'll definitely follow up on all the comments after because I really do appreciate those of you who are here with me live. And I want to make sure I remind you guys, I will be back here next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that happens every single Tuesday at 12 p.m. We are going to close out this series, pause the work, and go make yourself some professional friends. And we are going to fully launch into talking more about the Triumph in the Trenches on anthology and all that goes along with it. It's such a huge part of the work that myself and 20 other brilliant anthologists have been doing that I want to make sure that you guys hear from them. And I also want to make sure that you hear from me too and my own experience. So I believe that this book is going to be impactful, just doesn't do it justice. I believe that this book is going to change the trajectory of people's perspectives and therefore their careers and their life. And I want you to be a part of that. So this has been amazing. I love being here with you all. If there were questions that I didn't touch on, or there's other departments that you're saying, Leah, you mentioned all these other departments, but I work here and I want to make sure that people know that we're a valuable resource too, drop that in the comments because it's not comprehensive. And I personally think that there's a lot that I can learn from you all who are here with me. So please do drop your function in the comments, what you do, and then I'll make sure to incorporate that in the next time that we get together as we close out the series. I'd love to hear from you. So this has been amazing. I will talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for riding with me. I will see you next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And until then, take good care of yourself and make your journey work for you.